Welcome back to our series on famous European Cup triumphs that you might not have heard enough about. This time we're looking into the history of an English club. I know what you're thinking, Liverpool, Man United, there's nothing shocking about their stories. But as promised, it isn't these two modern day footballing giants. In fact, it's Nottingham Forest, the Midlands club that are scrapping around the bottom of the Premier League table and only got promoted back to the top flight last season for the first time since 1999. Will Forest have a grand European history of their own too? They won back-to-back European Cups in the 79 and 80 seasons. They may be well off the English sides of the modern era, but they have two trophies that a lot of them would want to steal. Arsenal have a rich history but have never won a European Cup, nor have Man City, despite perhaps being Europe's most consistent league side for the past 5 or 6 years. Winning a European Cup is special, and winning two even more so. Did you know that Forest are the only side in history to have won more European Cups than league titles? Forest won the English League title in 1978 for the first and only time in their history, just the season before their back-to-back European titles. And that's not even the most remarkable part of their story, because the year before that, they weren't even in the top flight. In this 22-23 Premier League season, Nottingham Forest are enjoying their first year back in the top flight for over 2 decades. Imagine if this very season Nottingham Forest won the Premier League, and then next year and the year after they won back-to-back Champions Leagues. Only then would they replicate their feat from the late 1970s. Incredible. It's fair to say that this series of videos is full of remarkable teams and amazing stories, but Nottingham Forest might just have the most mind-blowing tale of them all. When you think what it would take to repeat something like that today, you realise what a miracle their success was. The 6th of January 1975 was a fateful day for Forest. It was the day that Brian Clough became manager of the club. And on the 16th of July 1976, he was joined by assistant manager Peter Taylor, with whom he had previously won a league title at Derby. Clough and Taylor were credited as the megaminds behind the Forest rise. At the time, Forest were a second division side, and not a particularly good one. Taylor noted that Clough had done well to come 8th in the second division with 3rd division players. Arguably the best player of Forest's fairy tale era was John Robertson. He was described as a 2-footed Ryan Giggs, so he must have been incredible. But at the time, he was berated for being lazy and overweight, so Taylor got him on a diet and training program that would help lead to European glory. Clough's managerial skills and Taylor's scouting ability made the perfect match. Soon the pair would take a fairly average second division team to the first division. Taylor turned overweight players fit and drinkers sober. He was like the army colonel of the Forest dressing room. Players were told to change playing positions based on his beady eye too, and his out-of-the-box ideas always seemed to pay off. Despite stumbling into the top flight with one of the lowest promotion totals ever, they lost only 3 of their first 16 first division games. And they wouldn't lose in the league again all season, taking the first division crown in shocking fashion, 7 points ahead of second place Liverpool. No team has won the league the year after promotion since then. Europe beckoned, and perhaps, apart from Peter Shilton, Forest were a team of misfits, many of whom weren't even getting games at their previous clubs. But Taylor had an eye for a player, and alongside Clough they were able to put the pieces together to construct a formidable team. Forest's first tie in the 1978-79 European Cup could not have been a much bigger one. Nor was it far from home. In the ultimate opener, they were drawn against Liverpool, the team that they had pipped to the league title, but also the team who had just won back-to-back European Cups themselves. Liverpool were the top dogs in all of Europe at the time, but Forest would knock them off their perch with a steely 2-0 aggregate victory to set the tone for the rest of their campaign. Forest and Liverpool whipped up a great rivalry at the time. In December of 1978, Liverpool would beat Forest to end their 42-game unbeaten run in the league that dated back to the previous season. Forest were amongst the big boys now, and they were getting the better of them. Clough and Taylor couldn't believe their own achievements, as they were hailed as geniuses and worshipped by Forest fans. Then in February 1979, Forest started acting like the best team in the country. They made the first £1 million signing in England, bringing in Trevor Francis from Birmingham City. Later that year, Forest would beat Cologne on away goals in the European Cup semi-finals, and then defeat Malmo in the final in Munich, completing an incredible 3 seasons of promotion to the top flight, a league win, and then the biggest prize of them all, the European Cup. Their big money signing, Trevor Francis, scored the only goal as they ran out 1-0 victors in the final in front of 60,000 fans. on his European debut no less, Francis's back post header put Forest into the history books. It was Robertson who had provided the assist for Francis. The man who was overweight playing under-par football for Forest in the second division had been transformed by his management team into a European Cup winner. Sure, Robertson always had the talent, but Clough and Taylor, as they did with the whole squad, helped transform this team into European champions. In 78-79, Forest won the League Cup, but would only finish runners-up in the league, 8 points behind Liverpool. They beat Barcelona in the Super Cup, captained by Martin O'Neill. Forest had gone from nothing to the top of European football in the blink of an eye. The only way it could get any better was to go and do it back to back. Forest began the defence of their European title with a 3-1 aggregate victory over Osters of Sweden. Their league season wasn't as dominant or straightforward as years gone by. In the end, it would be Liverpool who would pit Manchester United to the league title, with Forest flailing in 5th. Not to worry though, it appeared Forest yet again had bigger things on their plate. In the first leg of their European Cup quarter-final tie against Dynamo Berlin, they suffered a 1-0 home defeat, but managed to turn the tie on its head, winning the away leg 3-1 to advance. In the semi-finals, they would come up against Ajax, the team who had dominated the early 70s, but were not quite the team they used to be. Francis and Robertson again were crucial. The pair both scored as they beat Ajax 2-0 in the first leg in Nottingham. In Amsterdam, Forest would suffer a 1-0 defeat, but hold on to emerge victorious 2-1 on aggregate. In the other semi-final, Hamburg had blown away Real Madrid, denying Los Blancos a final in their home stadium, and so Forest and Hamburg were set for a battle in Madrid in the 1980 European Cup final. One of the world's best footballers at the time was Kevin Keegan. The Newcastle native left Liverpool for Hamburg after he won the league and European Cup double at Anfield. So as far as English football was concerned, one of their own stood in the way of Forest and their second European title. Keegan was to be feared. Hamburg had smashed the German transfer record for the Liverpool talisman. But John Robertson was the difference maker on the day, not Keegan. The Scotsman put Forest 1-0 up at the Santiago Bernabeu stadium after 20 minutes, and the game would stay that way. Nottingham Forest had won back-to-back European titles. In the year or two that followed Forest's incredible feat, their squad was broken up and the club decided to capitalise on player sale value. Forest lost the European Super Cup on penalties to Valencia and the Intercontinental Cup to Nacional of Uruguay. Clough and Taylor would go on to lament how the squad had been taken apart, confessing it was a big mistake. But how Forest, their players, staff and fans have lived the dream of anyone involved in world football. They had truly lived a fairy tale. Taylor would then leave the club and Clough was never the same without him. Forest faded from the spotlight of nights like European Cup finals, and ever since they haven't had anywhere near the success of that magic period. They will probably never come close ever again. So the tale of Nottingham truly is one to be told, a remarkable rise from complete mediocrity to the top of European football. Twice. A club that in recent years has once again only be considered just another second division English football club. But nowadays, with 2 stars on the badge and a proud fan base boasting their history, Forest's miraculous past will never be taken away from them. They are and always will be twice champions of Europe. In our next episode, we'll be unveiling yet another astonishing tale of triumph against the odds. Get ready to be introduced to a team that turned heads, defied expectations, and left a stellar mark on the history of European football. But who could it be? A team from a lesser-known footballing nation? Or perhaps a squad that rose from the ashes of adversity to stun the footballing world? All we can say is that in the next episode, you'll be on the edge of your seat, captivated by the sheer determination and resilience of this next underdog story. Make sure you don't miss out on the next installment. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell to be the first to witness the next thrilling chapter in the saga of football's most incredible underdog stories. See you next time.